Hello, everyone. On the 19th of August, we are going to have a really special full moon because this is going to be the Aquarius full moon ruled by Uranus. And there's a number of interesting aspects. Some of them are quite rare and some of them are not so rare. So let's take a look at the London chart. And by the way, as you probably know, full moons are about completion and harvesting. And the interesting thing is that the Aquarius moon is a very cerebral, freedom-loving moon, while the sun is in its own sign and quite strong. So this is the title I gave to this particular full moon. Can you focus on change? Because it's definitely about change. And also karma breaking in many ways. And this is going to be on August 19th at 19:25 London time. And there's going to be a really almost exact almost to the minute Jupiter Saturn square and also a Saturn Venus opposition. So there's going to be really a lot of stuff. And the Jupiter Saturn square is about whether or not we can find proper balance. As you can see, 2.5 hours, a little bit less than 2.5 hours after the exactness of the full moon, the Jupiter Saturn square will be there. But even at the moment of the full moon, the orb is 1 minute. 1 minute. So it's really, really tight. Let's take a look at the London chart. Uranus is ruling the ascendant because it's in Aquarius. So Uranus has a very, very special role in the London chart because not only the full moon is ruled by it, but also it's the chart ruler. So it gives us the potential to be. So the chart ruler, when you look at the chart ruler, it gives you always the potential to be very successful. Potential success resides where the chart ruler resides. In this case, of course, it is in the third house of communication. And as I said, this is a very cerebral full moon because the moon is in Aquarius, a freedom-loving cerebral full moon. The highlights of the chart are as follows. As you can see, there is a T-square, which we're going to take apart in a minute. The Chiron-Aries conjunction is still tight. The Mars-Jupiter conjunction is also quite tight. 4 days ago, I posted a video on that particular conjunction if you want to go back and take a look. And as you can see, Venus is exactly conjunct Australia, the karma breaker, and the sun is conjunct retrograde Mercury and Vesta. Mercury retrograde is about how to contemplate on stuff within, so you find the answers within. Vesta is the focusing principle, and the triple conjunction of Juno, Black Moon Lilith, and South Node is applying. Both sides are applying. Juno is the spouse, the official first lady. The Black Moon Lilith is about how I have clairvoyance, and after that, I can look into stuff and I can do whatever is necessary. I have the courage, the knowledge, and also the determination to do what's right. And the South Node, of course, is what we brought in from previous incarnations. So those are the highlights. And with the Jupiter-Saturn square, the task is to find proper balance. We are going to look at the conjunctions and how it is manifesting usually. So here is a fixed T-square and a little engine. The fixed T-square is the two luminaries with Mercury retrograde and Vesta on the sun, and Uranus is exactly squaring the T-square. So it's a very funny T-square. It's a fixed T-square. The apex of which is Uranus, which is the chart ruler and the moon ruler, so the full moon ruler as well. It's not an easy one because moon Uranus is about how I'm constantly trying to break free and I'm unable to. And this whole renewal energy is kind of stalled, although I want to focus on it and I'm trying to find the mistakes and the answers within Mercury retrograde. There's also a little engine with Neptune. So Neptune actually dissolves this T-square. And the little engine consists of a fixed T-square with Uranus and the Sun, Mercury, Vesta, the sextile between Neptune and Uranus, and the quincunx. That's the little engine. And let's take a look at this Uranus-Neptune sextile. This is a rare aspect. As you can see, the conjunction occurs every 170 to 172 years, quite rare, and it occurs in approximately half a sign away from another. It's 16, 18 degrees from the previous one after 170 or so years. The last one was in 1993. This was the fall of the Soviet Union. I have a very special idea why the Soviet Union fell. I also know that Gorbachev is hated by the Russians because they think that he is a traitor. Yes, he was a traitor by all means. Although from a Western perspective or a European perspective, he's a hero. No, he's simply he is a traitor. Believe me, from a Russian point of view, he's a traitor. But anyhow, what does Uranus and Neptune do with each other? From the mundane perspective, Uranus is always change. Of course, there are sometimes revolts and revolutions and all kinds of inventions, something that changes the world and also destroys what's there, and so that the new stuff can come in. And Neptune, besides universal love and clairvoyance and transcendence and all kinds of occult and esoteric knowledge, also describes the main ideology of an age. So whenever Uranus and Neptune form an aspect, you have to understand that something happens, some change occurs to the main either religion or just ideology. So when the conjunction was in 1993, with the fall of the Soviet Union, we thought that finally we got rid of socialism. No, we didn't get rid of socialism, unfortunately, because the New Age idiots, the New Green Deal idiots and the New Democrats, this is what they are pushing, socialism again, and they keep saying that we never succeeded, we never did what was supposed to, we always made a mistake. Please, I don't want another mistake, okay? Both my grandparents lost everything in the name of socialism. My father-in-law lost every. I'm not even enumerating it. The whole idea is ridiculous. The whole idea is a non-working thing. You can't force people to work for nothing. You can't force people to give up their goods, their valuables. You can force them by taking away from them, and then you can give it to the poor. But there's a reason why a poor person is poor. Believe me, there's always a reason behind it. And just by giving him what was taken from a rich man won't make them rich at all. They will lose it again. Anyhow, so the conjunction signified an era when the main ideology seemed to change. And about 4 or 5 years ago, during the COVID, for about 4 or 5 years, before and after the COVID breakout, there was a semi-square. And a semi-square in mundane interpretation usually means frustration, something that is not working. So we're trying to find a new ideology. This was the woke ideology, of course, which is totally against humankind, against common sense. And believe me, any ideology which is against humankind, against people, and against common sense cannot really survive for such a long time. You can utilize it. You can make it forcible. Yes, you can have all kinds of weapons, and you can enforce it, just like the Soviet Union did for 70 years. But what is 70 years in the world history? Think about it. It's not even a second. So you can try to do it, but whatever is against humanity and whatever is idiotic will eventually fail. And now we have the sextile. It is within 2 degrees or around 2 degrees of Ove in this full moon, and the exact sextile will only occur on August 29th next year, 2025. And I'm sure you read accounts, and I also keep emphasizing that the real change will come in 2025, 26, when Neptune and Saturn both move together into Aries 0 degrees. And also this aspect will be exact in August next year. You also have to understand that each aspect occurs only once in a human lifetime. So it's once in a human lifetime, actually. And so we will not live through another sextile. This is it. And of course, the sextile gives you potentials. So it gives us potentials to change Uranus, the world ideology, Neptune. That's what is given to us. It's not yet exact. So actually, the whole process will simply start, and there will have some talking about it and some signs. It's not going to happen until next year. And the first square, I calculated the first square, which will only occur in 2039. And the square is always a crisis point, and so it will signify a crisis point of the 1993 conjunction. So that's the Uranus-Neptune, which is in this particular chart. And here are the transcendental celestial objects, which is always the deep karmic layer. And on Sun, Mercury, Vesta, you have Buddha, enlightenment, Hungary. It's always about us. Believe me, that is why they are trying to blacken us. They are trying to really say really bad things about us. All I can say is come to Hungary, look around, see for yourself what a country it is, how calm and reserved and beautiful it is. You will feel really well, believe me. So there's not what the mainstream media talks about us, nothing is true. Nothing is true. They are afraid that our example, our ideas, our outlook on life, the way we treat things and people will prevail and will be overall known. And that is why they are trying to blacken us. It's not going to happen. So Hannibal is also there, the general who is crossing the Alps, who was able to cross the Alps with his army. On the moon, you have Giza, which signifies ancient Egyptian knowledge and the repository of human knowledge. On Uranus, you have two centaurs, two TNOs actually, Alicanto and Lempo. I talked about both in a number of times. Alicanto is the bird with golden and silver feathers who eats precious metal, and whenever it eats too much, it is unable to fly. So it signifies unnecessary greed, which actually holds you back from your main ideas, main achievements, and main purpose. And Lempo signifies a god who, in a second era, the next era, becomes demonized. So that whenever there's a new era, whenever there is a new mythological idea, the previous one, the previous ideology, the previous mythos, protagonists are vilified and blackmailed and blackened. And then Algol, Beta Perseus, which is considered to be a very dark and bad star, which is ridiculous because a star is always beneficial. A star is not, the stars are not from the human existence, not from the human experience. A star is out there in the universe. It's not part of the solar system. It's not human. It cannot, that's why it cannot bring anything bad. Argol is simply a feminine mystery school, the strong, the birthplace of the strong, independent feminine. That's Argol. And on Neptune, I have Sheat, which is one of the healing words of suicide victims. So that's it. And there's another configuration, actually two intertwined, which are quite important. As you can see, there's a mutable T-square with Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus, Astrea. The Saturn-Venus opposition is always about inherent unlovableness, and Astrea is the karma breaker, so you could actually break all embedded karma regarding this feeling. And I'm going to talk about the Saturn-Jupiter square in a minute. So, and there's also quindecile arrow with Juno, the Venus-Saturn opposition with Astrea and trans-Pluto. And it's interesting because you have three feminine figures here, all linked to love and committed relationships. Venus is the lover, Juno is the spouse, the first lady, and trans-Pluto, which signifies dimension jump channeling, but also committed relationships. who are still able to move freely. Persephone is the ideology behind Trans-Pluto, who is a lady of the underworld, but also often visits her mother so that she can live in both worlds. So the independent feminine who is willing to do what's necessary in order to keep everyone happy in the family. So that's about it. And that's the quindecile arrow. The anchor point is the Venus Astrea, transform whatever you need in order to feel good. And the apex is Saturn, the Lord of Karma. So you have the Lord of Karma, the Karma breaker in opposition. And so that's the arrow, and they are intertwined with Saturn. And Saturn Jupiter square is always about trying to find proper balance. As you can see, the frequency of this aspect is like 9-11 years. The conjunction occurs every 20 years, and traditionally it was called the opening of the big gates. So every time you see a Saturn and Jupiter aspect, it is about the gates. A square signifies that this gate is being stuck. And of course, Jupiter enlarges everything it touches. It's the planet of luck and expansion and optimism, while Saturn is the planet of pessimism, burdens, baggages, obstacles, and also the Lord of Karma. So when these two outer planets, not outer planets, actually destiny planets, come together, there's always some balancing issue. Every 20 years, the balance is trying to be set back to normal. With the square, it usually tells us that everything is astray, that there are huge issues about proper balance. And in order to keep it, we need to have a totally different regimen in order to do something about it. The current square becomes exact right after the Aquarius full moon on August 19th, 2.5 hours or 2.25 hours after the exact full moon. As I said, at the full moon is just the orb is just 1 minute of really nothing. Okay, so that's the Jupiter Saturn finding the balance. Here are the transcendental objects. Okay, this was in the, I apologize, this was in the Hungarian. This is on the Hungarian ascendant descendant, interestingly enough. And in the London chart, we only have Saturn and Venus Astrea. So on Saturn, you have Nessus, a centaur, which links the two most potent magical potions, semen and blood, and also the deadly poison, because the Hydra, the blood of the Hydra is used by Hercules in his arrowheads. So you're mixing blood, semen, the two magical potions, and deadly poison, which actually comes as a redeemer. So it's a very interesting, fascinating story. Read it if you want to. That's on Saturn. On Venus Astrea, you have Paciencia, patience, and Nagasaki, two diverse, very diverse asteroids, because patience means please be patient. Please try to exercise patience and don't blow up the whole world just because you feel like Nagasaki, okay? On Jupiter, you have Phaethon, another total destruction asteroid, and Rigel, which is Beta or Orion, and it signifies the foot of the pharaoh, which gives you balance and gives you order and teaching. On Trans-Pluto, we have Apollo. Apollo is another sun god, so it's another sun energy there. And on Juno, you have Moira and Artemis. Moira, the goddesses of fate, the fates, actually, and Artemis, which is the moon goddess. So you have Apollo and Artemis, both the celestial twins, not celestial, divine twins, sorry. So that is the full moon energy. In the meanwhile, it got dark. I'm not going to that. Maybe I should. Oh, yes, it got dark, unfortunately. Anyhow, happy full moon. Utilize this wisely. There are main aspects in this really important full moon. Actually, when I'm recording this, there's a big offensive in the Ukrainian Russian war. The Ukrainians open another front. There's rumor that these soldiers are not Ukrainian; they are Polish, French, and German and American soldiers. If this is true, a lot of people will die. This is a totally futile war. It's the war of the West against a nation state, which wants to remain a nation state. Please look behind the news. Don't accept what mainstream media, what legacy media tells you. It's not the truth, believe me. And no, I'm not propagating. I don't care. These are two Slavonic nations. They are both orcs, believe me, they are orcs, okay? The Russians as well as the Ukrainians. Yes, Russia seems to be the aggressor. They are they are the same. They are the same, and the whole war idea is horrible. And let me tell you, it's to me, it's always ridiculous that they demand immediate ceasefire in the Gaza-Israeli war, but they want to keep on the war in the Russian-Ukrainian fight. Think about this. If you only think about these two facts, then you realize how dishonest both the press and the politicians, the Western politicians, are, unfortunately. Thank you for listening and happy Moon Moon. Use it wisely. Bye bye.